Thank you.
Hello, how is everyone after lunch? Asleep? No, that was a really good response. I like that. I have a button over here I'm supposed to push. Yep, got it. Good job, thanks. All right, so are any of you from Colorado? You are, so you probably know this story. But you're probably wondering why I have a buffalo up here trudging through a snowstorm. Well, there's a story out there that is really awesome about, the unique thing about Colorado is that the Rocky Mountains are on the west side and the Kansas Plains are on the east side, and so that makes it a unique place for cows and buffalo to be together. And so the story has it that when storms come in over the crest of the mountains, the cows can sense it and they turn and run east. And if you know anything about cows, they're kind of slow, so the storm will overtake them, and they are really sitting in the pain and the frustration, and it takes a lot of time to get through the storm because the storm catches up, and they're running with the storm for a really long time until it takes over. Buffalo, however, will turn west and head straight into the storm because they have the big heads to kind of sweep through all of the stuff that's coming at them. And so they get through the storm a lot faster because of this. And they get less pain, less frustration, and it takes them a lot less time to get through it. So you wonder why I bring that story up. Well, when I signed on to SailPoint about 4.5 years ago, I came in and there was an enablement team that had just lost their leader. There were two of them. They were very young in their career. They were very young in enablement. And they were very much in this ad hoc reactive stage. I came in every day and they had this look of shock on their face, and I just felt like I needed to hug them every day. They were constantly getting stuff in from the field that just was, when are we going to get this webinar? When are we going to get this, learning out to the field? Can you create this for me to put in front of my customer? And it was just coming and coming and coming. And so we were very much in that ad hoc and reactive state. So I went to the CRO and basically said, we're never going to get ahead of this game if we don't pause, and we need to take a step back and figure out what the goal is. What does success look like? I've got to save these two on my team because they're probably going to run if I don't just take a pause, let's go dark, and figure everything out. And he looked at me and he basically just smiled and said, "You're kidding, right?" And I said, "I'm absolutely not kidding. We can't keep doing this. It's very painful for the field. It's very painful for the team." So fortunately, he said, "Well, do you have a plan?" I said, "I think I have a plan. I think it looks good. I think it sounds good, but it's going to take resources, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take tools." And so he said, "Well, we hired you because you're supposed to know what you're doing, so I'm going to let you take a pause." Of the team that I had, of the two, one said, "I'm out, I can't do this." So I ended up with one, and we started building the plan, and it was very fun and exciting for me to sit down with her and kind of walk her through this enablement journey and tell her, the end of the game should be this optimized state, and that felt very hard and very long. And so what we did was I started putting a plan together, a business plan that really was, here's the team, here's the end game that I need, here's the magic people that I need to come in and really take control of the situation. So this is the team I have today. I put their faces and names up here because they are very chatty people. They're the extroverts, I'm not. And they would love to connect on LinkedIn if you ever want to talk about any of this. So And this is not the team I started with. Please understand that this has been blood, sweat, and tears to get here. But we took a look at the enablement framework. We took a look at what we were really striving to be, how we were going to meet the corporate goals of really getting ramp times down for our new hires. How were we going to then increase productivity per rep? I know you all have been there trying to figure that out. And we started with how can we approach this from getting programs out to the field, but then also how do we look at it from a role perspective and a tenure perspective. And so I started building out really just the training piece of it first, and looking at tools that could help me understand how we wanted to implement the framework of what we wanted to build, along with how we built the team. So the next thing we did is we really started looking at tools. I had these competing priorities. I needed to build a team. I needed to look at tools. I didn't have the people to continue doing all the things that were coming in at the same time that I was looking for tools. So what the pause did was really help me build the business case I needed to say the end game is this, and that is we want to really increase the productivity of our reps, and we really want to get them selling faster. So in order to do that, I would like to start with this many people. I believe I started the team with 2, one sitting back there, added to the one that I had. So I had 3. And we started looking at this massive opportunity that we had ahead of us. And part of that was, okay, we're going to take this in chunks. We're going to start with, let's really get it right for the AEs that are out there in the field, and let's get it right for the inside sales team. And as we started doing that, then we could say, let's look at the tools that are going to help us scale this bigger and better. So what we did was we started looking at onboarding very carefully, and how we bring everyone in and how we get it out to the masses. We remain scalable. As we started adding these types of things in, it started making sense to us that we needed a learning management system, which we had one on site, but it was just not any good at all. So we started bringing we had content everywhere. My whole goal was I really wanted one tool that I could say to everyone, we need a one-stop shop, so that when sellers come in, these are the additional roles that started coming in as we started building. We got more and more responsibility. So that one-stop shop was becoming more and more important to me. At the time, I was going to sales enablement conferences. I was looking at tools. I was listening to them all say, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best. But no one ever sat down with me and said, let's look at your OKRs. Let's look at what you're trying to do, and let us help build with you. So we chose a tool that really caused me a lot of sleepless nights and dread, and just it was not a good cultural fit for us. I was looking for a good cultural fit. They were not a partner. They would not sit down with us. It was very much calls where we would sit and be preached at or talked to, or very technical conversation that we just didn't understand or get or wanted to know. And so in the selling stage of that, they really sold us a bill of goods that was great. But then when we got them in-house, it was just not that great of an experience. So I went out and started looking again, and I landed on HighSpot, which is, I think a lot of you have talked about today and have, are either evaluating or have heard of it. And the reason I did is because I was able to sit down with them and say, I'm looking for an end-to-end solution. I know you don't have learning and coaching yet, but I know it's on your roadmap. I want to help get there. And so we went with them for a content management system first. And so because of that, we were building relationships within the company. We knew they had a great company culture, which was very similar to ours, and they were willing to sit down with us and understand what our challenges and problems were. They build off of the enablement framework, which is really awesome. So they challenged us back in saying, okay, but what's the business outcome? What's the call to action? What do you really want your sellers to do? This is how we build your playbooks. This is how we should set it up, which was really awesome for us. And so the other thing is, we went back to them and said, well, we have a dream. And currently, our dream doesn't fit within your typical learning and coaching environment. So are you willing to sit down and go through this with us? Also, we're Sail Point, so everything is nautical. So you see a lot of that up there. But we asked them, are you willing to work with us to help this happen? And so we added on the learning and coaching element of it, which was incredible because we were now able to say we have a one-stop shop for everything. If you consume anything outside of HighSpot, then it's likely not corporate approved, it's probably not branded correctly, and it's definitely not on message. So we started building with them this academy, and it's designed to take our onboarders from coming into the company to into their job, into their role within 12 weeks. And then they go into an everboarding state. We have a lot of metrics, and I'll get to those as well. But what we did is we really sat down with HighSpot, and they helped us understand, okay, what do you really want out of this first badge? What is this first badge about? What are the call to actions you want them coming out of? And we were able to say, okay, we really want this to be foundational. We want them to know how to talk about the company. We want them to know, where they can handle objectives when it comes up to when it comes up to competitive and things of that nature. So going through this, we were able to kind of build out this curriculum with them, and they were with us hand in hand all the way through, which was really, really nice. So this is just an example of one of our learning paths. This actually happens to be our SE organization. And so you can see they have all their badging levels. At the end of each one, we do use badgers, so we give them a badge, which they all get competitive about. They can use it on their LinkedIn and things like that. And they really, really like this. So we have a combination of their very first badge is definitely online e-learning that we've developed. And when they get through that, then they get to register to come on site. We have them on site for 3 days. Some 5 days, depending on their role. But for 3 days, they get live workshopping based on what they've learned in the e-learning. They get to actually put it into practice for 3 days with our subject matter experts that come in. And then the last 2 days of the week, depending on their role, they stay for challenger training, which is that next badge there. And we do have an element of challenger training for every role except for our customer support, and we're working on that right now. But because we have HighSpot in place, the best part about it is Challenger has a hub that connects right into HighSpot. So we're able to pull that in. It's all still right there in HighSpot. They don't have to go anywhere else. And we have it all connected to Salesforce, so they don't have to go, while they're in Salesforce, they can pull things from HighSpot into Salesforce. We have our pitch templates set up in there really nicely so that they can pitch out to their customers, and we can see who's opening it, we can see who's viewing it, we can double down on where they're spending the most time, so that we know what else can help drive updates to the content. The other thing is we can set up pitch sites specifically for our customers. So our sellers will go in, use a pitch template, set it up with our logo, the customer's logo, and that becomes the customer's home page for every single thing that needs to go out, so that they don't have to go search for things. They just know they can go to this page every time, and everything they need for the deal is there. So it cuts down their time, it cuts down our time, and we're starting to close deals faster. We're seeing this happen. So then we push all of this data up to a scorecard that we've created in Tableau that helps us take this knowledge and push it down per rep, and so that we're able to go to the managers and say, hey, we know that your rep has not taken this much training and they're actually not doing well in sales stage 40, or they're not doing well against this specific competitor, and this is why. They haven't taken any of their training. We can also use this to see, okay, your average first day to their first sale is really getting longer. Why is that? Let's look at every person on your team and figure out if they're just not, maybe they're not closing effectively. It's taken them too long to close a deal. So we need to drill in and offer them some one-on-one coaching, or they maybe haven't taken training that they should have taken. So let's really dive into that and see where they're lacking. This also tells us we have about 5 things that they need to do in their deals, and if they haven't done them, then we know the likelihood of them slipping the deal or prolonging the deal, even longer than a quarter. We have a lot of stats around that if we see that they haven't done their account plan in Salesforce, if they've not had an executive to executive alignment, if they've not done a business value assessment. We see those things in there, so we're able to go back and say, this rep is a red flag. We've talked to you about him 4 times. It's probably time that we do something else. That's just basically, this is everything that we track in that scorecard, is all of their access through Academy, and then these other things that I just mentioned. So once they get through the Academy, we continue using HighSpot to really drive through the everboarding that we do. And this is important because it encompasses a whole lot of things. So we do a video cast that we push out to all of our sellers that is really, here's the latest content that you need to know about that's happened in the last 2 weeks. So that sits in there. We're able to track it and see who's consuming it. It's got show notes with all of the documents that it leads to. We do webinars. We do, there's a whole lot of things that we wrap into everboarding. But the main thing is that we can also run these meetings that really drive the feedback to us. A lot of our feedback comes in because my team is so close to the field. We hear a lot from the field, but then we also have a sales advisory board. We also have the predictive scorecard, and we have our top line field managers who are also running through their own academy. We call it Top Gun Academy, and we run it through HighSpot as well. And we're able to track where they're succeeding in we call it run your business like a CRO, basically. So all of the process-oriented stuff we're really driving through here. And, but the feedback that comes out of this, what we do is we're gonna package up, we're starting to work on this, but we're gonna package up packages or sales kits, we'll say, that will go to each of the frontline managers, and it'll be, here's your learning activity for the week. Go coach your team in this activity. Here's how you do it. Here's a video that shows exactly what to do. And then here's the learning activity that you need to do. We'll be able to see and push the metrics behind who's actually doing it, and then, measure that, compare that over to, are they doing better in their deals? And so our approach to this is we're going to use our tools to effectively help us run e-learning coaching through these sales kits, also peer-to-peer learning, and they're having to upload recordings of them actually having these peer conversations on this. And then our manager coaching, which these are going to be guided activities on particular topics every quarter, that it might be, we need you to get more suite adoption. So this is a guided activity that we need you coaching on, and this manager coaching is what you're going to need to do. So we'll push that out through here as well. And then basically, the final at the end, we'll do one of these each quarter in the year, and the final is kind of, have you learned everything that we've pushed out this year? And it'll be kind of a stand and deliver type activity that the manager will lead. Now, in using HighSpot, using Tableau, we also use Camtasia and Badger. Those are the main tools that we use. We have a lot more tools involved, obviously, like Outreach, Salesforce, those kinds of things that we use to bring it in. But those 4 tools are the main tools that we use to to make the magic happen. And in doing so, we've seen a 34% decrease in our ramp times in the last year and a half. And like I said, this hasn't been something that's happened overnight. We've been working on it probably 2 solid years of getting this all stood up, working with HighSpot, having them sit with us and us push back on them push back on us, the beauty of a vendor relationship. And this 40% number is, we've seen a 40% increase in contribution rate. So our productivity per rep has gone way up because they have one place to go for their learning. They have one place to go for what their direction is in terms of messaging. They have one place to go to find their content. And I will say that it's been extremely important for us to get a person in that can really focus on the governance of all of this as well, just because if you don't, content can quickly get out of hand, right? And so you look and there'll be content that's been in there for 9 to 12 months and it's not been touched. So it's been really critical for us as well to work with HighSpot, get our reporting set up just right so that we can just push a button and learn, you know, this content hasn't been touched in so long, so we're going to send this report out to product marketing. If you haven't looked at this in the next week, then we're just going to archive it because it hasn't been looked at. It's just sitting out there and it's making search results crazy. So that's been really pretty critical for us too. We sat down with HighSpot yesterday and did our FY 2022 in review with them, and it was some pretty exciting numbers for us. We put 540 people through the onboarding last year, or that academy, which was amazing for us because we had some M&A activity and we really needed to get to a place where we could just plug and play anybody that comes in because we just can't scale otherwise. And so that was a pretty great number for me to see because you just get so stuck in the day-to-day that you don't really lift your head up and look at numbers like that. Also, we had an 86.5% success rate in terms of passing scores in this, which was a really great number for us. And so that was a really nice meeting to hear. So I know I ran through that really quickly. I apologize. I have a cold, and it's just I'm trying to get through it without getting messy. So, but any questions for me? Because I'm happy, and also if you got the names of my team, we're all willing to talk offline as well. How do we handle requests for training in the field? So we had a lot of that coming in, and I ended up having to, that's another tool we use, Asana, setting up a board to take in all of these requests and really retraining our field and our managers to go to that board first and let me have the opportunity to prioritize based on what I know our goals are for the company. There's a lot of requests that come in that are just like, yeah, someday. And this gives me an opportunity because, as you all know, as sales enablement people, we're all people pleasers. At least I am. I know my whole team is. I'm sure most of you are. And because my team is people pleasers, they say yes a lot. And then I'm like, wait, where's all your time going? We're not. So this form has really helped us. So when they come in, I'm able to say, okay, this is really valid. We're seeing more than one request for this, so we should probably create training for this. What does that look like? Then we go to the stakeholder and we say, well, what's the outcome? and we start there, and we work backwards from there. So what do you want them to know from this? What do you want the call to action to be? And then we can structure the training backwards from there. Is it a webinar? Is it a role play? All the different modalities of training that we can go into, but that's really how we structure backwards and then kind of work from there. Can leadership check to see how much enablement their teams are consuming? Yes, so we have a board. The scorecard is one thing that they have, only the managers have access to, so they can go in and look to see what's actually, how their reps are sitting. But then we have another dashboard built in Tableau that we call it our Trove program, our Treasure Troves program. And every bit of training that they consume, we assign points to it. And the managers have access to this dashboard. It feeds up. They can see how many points, what their reps have taken, what they haven't taken. And then as they accumulate these points at the end of the year at SKO, they cash them in for swag. And it's different levels, and they get to pick what they want depending on how much training they've done. It's really fun to watch them at the end of the year because they suddenly start asking their managers in their one-on-ones how they're doing with Trove because they know SKO is coming up, and then all of a sudden we have a lot of activity going on. Okay, can managers track how far along a new hire is in their onboarding? Yes, that's what the Treasure Troves dashboard will show them exactly where they are in their onboarding, but so will that scorecard. They'll be able to see, can I go backwards? Maybe not. They'll be able to see exactly what score they made in the very first badging level. The second one, they'll be able to see, did they pass their assessment? If they didn't, where did they do badly? If they did, great. How are they doing with their sales methodology training? How are they doing with their competitive training? One of our badges is just competitive training, and they also get to hear on that one, they have to do kind of a stand and deliver at the end of it where they're trying to take a competitor out of a deal. So they get to see all of that through.
Yeah, and it's very granular, so it's not just like, did they complete Challenger? It's pre-work score, attending the live workshop, post-work score, commercial insight. So it's very granular.
Yep, thank you, Robin. That scared me. I was like, whoa.
You like the,
How does HighSpot handle reporting with SCORM content, like what metrics are available? Yeah, that's one thing that we've had to really work hard with HighSpot is the SCORM. Is the SCORM issue. They do handle SCORM, we just can't track it, so that's been an issue. I know they're working on that. And so you can upload SCORM, it just doesn't have the metrics behind it. So we're really starting to just use their templates and do our own recordings if we need to and put it up. We were working with an outside agency to do formal e-learning, and they just produced in SCORM, so we're rethinking that. Do you all use technology for certifications as well? We don't offer an official certification, so we don't really need a technology for that, but we do offer the badging that they're able to use. It makes them competitive enough, and also on the video cast that we do every 2 weeks, we will say who's the top 10 or so contenders in consuming all of their education, and that gets them really going and usually the top 5 are after each other's throats all year long, so that helps. Is the reporting you showed primarily done in Tableau or within HighSpot? We do use reports in HighSpot. I wouldn't say they're as detailed as I would like them to be, which is why we pull everything over into Tableau. The other reason we pull everything over into Tableau is because we want that HighSpot data, but we also need data from Salesforce. We need data from Outreach. We need data from People AI. We pull it all into one place so that we can really see where our reps are spending their time, so that we can also gauge those levers that we need to pull and turn for getting them more productive. And I know I'm out of time, so reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to talk to any of you. Robin, the rest of my team, we're here for you. Thank you.